Hello and welcome to my second ever unboxing video, which I've been prompted again by another one of these phenomenal mobile Fidelity One-Step Ultradisc vinyl records, and the release this time that got me going was this is one of the kind of albums that goes down in history as kind of a seminal jazz album, a pivotal jazz album. I believe it was released in 1959 by Charles Mingus, and it's called Mingus Ah Um. Now, you may recognise the cover. This is the copy I already had of it, and I'll explain a little more about this. I mean, cool as hell cover anyway, for starters. Right from the golden age of Columbia, in my opinion. When their records came on now this isn't an original, but they came on these 6i labels. It's not an original, but it's kind of a facsimile of it. And this is the copy that I had, because originals of this, you're going to have to pay £200 probably if you want a decent one. 50 quid would probably get you something that's unplayable, frankly. So there's no point in that. £200 would be a decent one. It's one of those albums. I would say it's definitely not an easily accessible album. I'll tell you a little story. I am massively into Miles Davis, absolutely massively into him. And one of his highly regarded featured sort of seminal albums, if you like, was Birth of the Cool, and I'm sure most of you will have heard of that. And that was originally released on Capitol, I think it was, in 1950, maybe 50s, early mid-50s. I think it was his first LP release, anyway. You'd think as a huge Miles Davis fan, and I must have, I don't know, Miles Davis collection, that many LPs, 30 odd, maybe 30 Miles Davis LPs, maybe more. Birth of the Cool, it's an album I really wanted to like, and I just couldn't get into it. Could not get into it. And I had reissues. I had a recent-ish reissue, and then I picked up a second issue, I believe, original second issue, which, if I remember right, has sort of like a rainbow pattern around the edge of the label, the black label, if I remember rightly. And it was better, but I still just didn't get into it. And then I came across an original one, which I think was like a turquoise Capitol label. And I had to pay a bit of money for it, maybe 50 quid or something, 60 quid. I think that was quite a bargain, frankly, for what was, in fact, a mint original. And I just got it. It was just that tiny sort of je ne sais quoi of extra something, extra kind of realness, extra nearness, extra closeness to the performance and everything. You just got the intonation of the players, the real kind of essence of what they were all about. And I got it. I got the album. I love the album. Now I can listen to it on CD or in the car on bloody Spotify or something, and I get it. But I just couldn't. It took that really hearing into it to get me into the album. I couldn't get past. I'm not actually a huge muso. I've got thousands and thousands of records. Love music, but I'm not a musician. I don't get musical theory. Can't read music. I've got a sense of time of of an octopus that's drunk, I suppose. It's just one of those things. It took me that. Now, Mingus Ah Um, again, it's one of those albums. I'm sure it's 59. The story of the album's fantastic. I remember watching a documentary, I think it was called 1959, the year that changed jazz, and it featured this, Dave Brubeck's Time Out, Miles's Kind of Blue. I think there was another album in there too, but it was, everything you read about this, everything about Mingus, you'd think this is going to be his masterpiece, the one that is just going to blow your mind, and I couldn't get into it. So there we go. Now this is a 2008 Music on Vinyl reissue. So not hard to come by, or certainly wasn't at the time. It would have cost you about 20 quid. I don't know if it's still available. If it is, I wouldn't bother buying it, sorry to say. You know, it's a nice piece of vinyl. It's nicely pressed. It's quiet. Just doesn't do it for me. It really doesn't. Maybe that album just is beyond me. Who knows? Who knows? Anyway, what's a bubble wrap? That will have a use in other uses. I'm bombarded by bubble wrap here. And let's have a look. Even though this is £180, I reckon that is cheaper than buying a decent original. And interestingly enough, if I was going to get a decent original, I would be looking for a mono one. Just from personal experience, that tells me that would be the best. I'm not absolutely convinced whether this is mono or stereo, but I'm kind of guessing they use a stereo tape. Anyway, number 3,519 out of 6,000. They've only made 6,000 of these. Reason being, they cut out 2 steps of the record pressing process. So they cut the lacquer, which is normal. From the lacquer, they make a mould, which can't remember what they call it, but it's the father mould or something like that. From that, you make a typically you would press a disc that would be then used to make. I think that disc would be called the mother, and then from that disc, you press a series of them, obviously. And then from each of those, you would make another mould, which would be the stamper. And from that, you press your vinyl. So this is 2 steps closer. So they just cut the lacquer, make a mould from it, press these, and consequently they have to be a limited edition because the moulds wear out after a while, and there is only one of them, so to speak. So fabulous. Anyway, the real acid test of this is going to be when I play it, which I shall do in a minute. I'll obviously pause this video, do that, and come back and report. And I did actually just replay my Music on Vinyl copy earlier, just to remind myself. And I'll do an OD again. I'll do them side by side. But anyway, let's see what you get for your 180 quid. I've done a previous video on these about the Yes Fragile album, but it's kind of a lovely sort of matte rubberized card with an indented, embossed sort of satin fit. I mean, this is absolutely gorgeous print quality. It's stunning, in fact. It's better than I remember the Yes Fragile one being, but there we go. It really does. Really, really, really looks good. It feels nice. So let's have a look inside the box. See, it's just gorgeous, exquisite quality. Piece of foam to protect everything. Oh, fabulous! So here we've got some photos. There's the dude himself. Lovely, 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 lovely. I don't have the original album, but I'm kind of wondering whether they'd be. They're not. No. Wondering whether those might be pictures that were on the rear cover. But anyway, here we go. There's the explanation of the Ultradisc One-Step. So from the recording, they cut a lacquer. That's the first thing which is done in your lathe. They call this a convert, which is the mould, and then they press the vinyl. Whereas normally you go lacquer, father, they call that, which is a mould, mother, which is, in this case, it's kind of the equivalent in terms of generation of what you're actually buying. And then from the mother, they would make the stamper, and from the stamper, they press the record. So you're kind of, in effect, you're buying a mother disc, which of course never gets sold in the normal world. probably would rip your cartridge apart. I don't know what they make them of, but there's nothing to assume that they would be playable. So there's a reproduction of the cover with the familiar original master recording flag across the top, and that is actually pretty much the same as the back of this one. Interestingly, this doesn't have the stereo thing across the top, so maybe this isn't stereo, maybe this is mono. That'll be interesting. Anyway, yeah, I'll find out. I shall find out. And then we have LP1, same gorgeous sort of matte rubberized card cover, and LP2, and another piece of foam to keep everything lovely. And again, I mentioned this before, but there's something that I just think Mobile Fidelity, they get this so damned right. In these covers, you've got an outer card, which is a really nice card. You've also got an inner card sleeve, and then you've got you can buy these separately, original master sleeves, which are, I believe they're HDPE, they're kind of archival quality, non-scratching, anti-static sleeves, and they're really, really, really nice. But this is cool, where you've got your, I mean, pretty much any album cover these days, where there's a fold, you've got the front is folded over and glued to the inner of the back. So there's a, oh, that's interesting. Okay, I should cut this bit. Oh, I won't cut it out. What the fuck? Excuse my French. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, so there's a fold. And therefore the cover is double thickness for this top sort of centimetre. Now, what I was going to say is what Mobile Fidelity do is they put another cover slice in there which has the corresponding piece of card cut away. Only this doesn't. And it's printed. Well, most of the other Mobile Fidelities I have is. Now, it's interesting that this one doesn't. I kind of wonder whether that's an error. I suspect it is, because there's very good reason to why they do that, and it's so that therefore at the front you have two pieces of card, two thicknesses, and at the back you have two thicknesses of card, and in this area here you don't have three, you have two, because they cut it out. Anyway, they didn't do it this time. It's not the end of the world. If you really wanted to, you could cut it out, no doubt. Anyway, and then right to the business end of it all, and here we have. I mean, you just look at it. There's a kind of a crispness, the way the grooves catch the light. There really is a crispness to it. Beautifully cut and pressed. Absolutely. And this will be done from, I would almost guarantee, this will be done from the original analog tapes. It will be remastered and pressed all by Mobile Fidelity themselves. And they use, they use absolute best stuff. Their tape recorders, their cutting desks, their everything is all top quality audiophile, tuned and tweaked equipment. So there should be, pretty much nothing better. I'm confidently suggesting that this will be the best. The best version of this available that's ever been available. Hello and welcome back. I think this deserves a PS to my unboxing video, because at the end of the day it's what it sounds like that it's all about. And as I explained, the prime reason for wanting this was because I already had a copy that I just couldn't get into. And it's really funny. I mean, we'll cut to the chase. Absolutely fabulous. This is staggering, and it has absolutely achieved everything I wanted it to achieve, and it did exactly what I expected, frankly. Going along the experience of my Birth of the Cool with Miles. So yeah, so Mingus Ah Um is no longer an album that I struggle with. Mingus Ah Um is it's not even just a jazz album that I quite like. I'd say it's a cracking album, and I can hear passages of Miles in it, and I'm not talking Miles from pre-59. I mean, I'm talking Miles post-59. There's bits that remind me of Sketches of Spain. There's all sorts of things. I mean, it sounds fresh. It sounds new. It sounds innovative. It's incredibly melodic. It's not challenging. It's not highbrow and up your arse jazz. It's stunning. It's absolutely everything that I kind of hoped that the album should be. And as I say, like with the Miles Davis Birth of the Cool, hearing this, it's not an original pressing. It's cheaper than an original pressing. A mint original pressing. I don't, how much are they? You name your price if you have one. But say a near mint or a very good plus, it's going to cost you a couple of £100. So this is actually cheaper, and I haven't heard one of those, so I can't compare. But this is stunning, absolutely stunning, and yeah, I'm so glad I got it, and it has opened my mind to the album and how bloody magnificent it is. There's not a single tune on there that I don't like. There's not a single tune on there that's inaccessible. It's just fantastic. So my verdict on that is 10 out of 10. Literally, it couldn't be given a lesser score than that. If you love Mingus and you love this album, you really need to hear this, because it will open your eyes.